Alright, guys, welcome to another installment of the Book of Jubilees. I had my other installment, the video rendered for yesterday, and I posted some other stuff, but my one installment of the Book of Jubilees, the one before this video, which I'm making right now, I forgot to post it. So I'm going to have it and this video up real soon. So we are going to continue here with the next chapters and go from there. So a few of you people that have already been following me, that have been interested in this, you know who you are. This is for you. I've been meaning to get this read anyway, so okay, so let's get on with it, shall we? Alright, this next chapter. And it starts out and reads, And on the 6 days of the second week, in accordance with God's command, we brought to Adam all the wild animals. Okay, and I got to turn the page here. All the wild animals, the cattle and the birds and everything that moves on the earth, and everything that swims in the water according to their kinds and according to their species. The wild animals on the first day, the cattle of the second day, the birds of the third day, everything that moves on earth on the fourth day, and what swims in the water on the fifth day. And Adam gave them all their names and what he called them. Those were the names, and on these 5 days Adam saw all of them, male and female, according to every kind that was on the earth. But he was alone and had no partner like himself. And the Lord, excuse me, and the Lord said to us, It is not good for the man to be alone. Let us make a partner for him like himself. And the Lord God, okay, let's start over again. And the Lord said to us, It's not good for man to be alone. Let us make a partner for him like himself. And the Lord our God made him fall into a deep sleep, and he slept. And he took one of his bones to make a woman. And so the origin of woman was the rib taken from Adam's bones. And he built the flesh up again in its place and built the woman. And he woke Adam up. He woke Adam up from his sleep, and he woke and got up on the 6th day. And he brought her to him, and he recognized her and said to her, This is the bone from my bones and the flesh from my flesh. She shall be called my wife, because she was taken from her husband. That is why man and wife are one, and that is why a man leaves his father and his mother and is united to his wife, and they become a single body. In the first week, Adam was created, and the rib, his wife, in the second week. He showed her to him, and this is why the commandment was given for women to keep in their uncleanness 7 days for a male and 14 days for a female. And after Adam had been in a land where he had been created for 40 days, we brought him into the Garden of Eden to till it and guard it. But his wife they brought into on the 18th day. Only then did she enter the Garden of Eden. And that is why the commandment is written on the heavenly tablets about a woman that gives birth. If she bears a male, she shall wait in her uncleanness 7 days. That is a week to begin with. And then another 33 days shall she wait for her blood to be purified. And she shall touch nothing that is holy, nor enter the sanctuary until she completes these days that are appointed, in the case of a male child. But in the case of a female child, she shall wait in her uncleanness 14 days. That is a fortnight to begin with. And then another 66 days for her blood to be purified, 80 days in all. And when she had completed these 80 days, we brought her into the Garden of Eden, for it is holier than any other place on earth, and every tree that is planted in it is holy. That is why the rule was laid down about a woman that bears a child, whether male or female, that she should touch nothing that is holy, nor enter the sanctuary until these days are appointed, for the male or female child are completed. This is the law and the statute which was written for Israel, that they should observe it always. And in the first week of the first Jubilee, Adam and his wife were in the Garden of Eden for 7 years, tilling it and guarding it, and we gave him work to do and taught him all the details of the gardener's craft. And he tilled the garden, and he was naked and did not realize it, and he was not ashamed. And he protected the garden from the birds and the wild animals and the cattle, and he gathered its fruit and ate, and put aside what is left over for himself and his wife. And when he had completed 7 years there, 7 years exactly, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, the serpent came and approached the woman. And the serpent said to the woman, Has God commanded you, saying, You are not to eat the fruit of every tree in the garden? And she said to it, All of the fruit of the trees in the garden God said to us, Eat, but of the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden God said to us, You shall not eat of it, nor shall you touch it. If you do, you will die. And the serpent said to the woman, Of course you will not die. God knows that on the day you do eat, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like gods and know good and evil. And the woman looked at the tree and saw that it was agreeable and pleasant to the eye, and the fruit was good to eat, and she took some of it and ate. And when she covered, almost lost my place, and when she had covered her shame with fig leaves, she gave some to Adam and ate. So in other words, she realized he was naked. She gave some of it for Adam, and he ate, and his eyes were open, and he saw that he was naked, and he took fig leaves and sewn them together and made a loincloth for himself, and covered his shame. And God cursed the serpent and was angry with it forever. And he was angry with the woman because she had listened to the serpent and eaten, and said to her, I will increase your labor and your pains. In sorrow you shall bear children. On your husband you shall rely, and he shall be your master. And to Adam he said, Because you have listened to your wife, and you have eaten of the tree which I have commanded you not to eat, accursed shall be the ground on your account. Thorns and thistles it shall produce for you. And you shall eat the bread by the sweat of your brow till you return from which you were taken. The earth you are, and you shall return. And it's kind of a funny thing, too, if you look on, to take a break from reading here. This is something ironic that I've observed. I'm into edible plants and all that, and you can actually eat a thistle. If you go on the YouTube channel Survival HT and look it up, it takes a lot of work. You've got to have a long, sharp knife, and you will get pricky things in your fingers, and you can get infection, all kind of other things. But a considerable amount of labor. You can eat a thistle. There's a piece of stuff inside it you can actually eat, but you've got to strip all that really carefully because it's dangerous. And then if you're really hungry enough and you need to eat those to survive and there's nothing else, you can actually, if you want to go through all that work, if you're, rather than starve to death, you can even take all them spikes off of the leaves. But if you get a long Bowie knife or sharp knife so you don't touch any of it and get any of it in your skin, there is a part in the thistle you can eat. But you notice a sharp thistle, like a cursed ground, yeah, you can eat it, but it'll take work and it's dangerous. There's risks involved. But yes, you can eat it. But it's kind of ironic, though, too. You almost got to wonder, the curse could have been a lot worse. Like every single plant you eat would have been sharp, and you would have had to do a lot of work to strip it, so to speak, and eat. So the curse could have been worse. But anyway, okay, let's get back to what I was reading here. Yeah, thorns and thistles it shall produce for you, and you shall eat bread by the sweat of your brow till you return to the earth from which you were taken. For earth you are, and earth you shall return. And he made them coats of skin, and clothed them, and sent them out of the Garden of Eden. And on the day that Adam went out in the garden, he offered frankincense, galbanum, and stacete, and spices as a food offering of soothing odor, so that he did every day in the morning at sunrise from the day he covered his shame. And I imagine, of course, you're going to have to deal with cold and the elements, and you'll have a new conflict. They had another conflict like freezing to death, and plus, not just to cover their shame, they're going to be freezing their butts off at night, and maybe later on, mankind, if it's too hot, you got to cover yourself up so you don't burn your skin. But that was way later in the future, when man evolved later on. But yeah, not just to cover your shame. Ironically, clothing would have to keep you warm and protect you from the scorching sun. You wear something on your head, and so it served a necessary function too. The conflicts that mankind would later have. Okay, on the sunrise from the day you covered your shame, and on the day of the months all the wild animals and the cattle and the birds, and of everything that walks or moves, were shut so that they could no longer speak. For up until then, they all spoken to one another with a common tongue. Yeah, that part of it too. Yeah, one of my YouTube followers. Yeah, you know who you are. As soon as I did the introductory video about Jubilees, yeah, you brought that up right away, and I was in agreement with it. I talk about that outside of YouTube. But yep, there's your statement right there. Okay, let's read that again. And on that day, the mouths of all the animals and the cattle and the birds and of everything that walks or moves were shut, so that they could no longer speak. For up until then, they had all spoken with one another in a common tongue. And the book of Enoch also mentions that too. So Enoch will be mentioned later in this book of Jubilees, which backs up this book of Jubilees, why it's better than the Genesis of the traditional King James Bible, which in the eyes of some of the people that are nothing but the King James Bible, considered what I'm reading here a big, gigantic sin, because the King James Bible is the only true book of Genesis. But some of us disagree, because this has a lot more good stuff that we always wondered about. It answered a lot of our questions. But anyway, okay, where was I here? Let's get back to it. I just wanted to get that in. Really cool stuff. Okay, and he sent them out of the garden of Eden, all creatures that were in it, and they were scattered to the places naturally suited to them, according to their kinds and species. And Adam alone, as distinct from all the wild animals and the cattle, did he cause to cover his shame. That is why it is prescribed on the heavenly tablets that all those familiar with the provisions of the law should cover their shame and not uncover themselves as the Gentiles uncover themselves. And Adam and his wife went out of the Garden of Eden on the day of the new moon of the 4th month, and they settled in the land of Elda, in the land of their creation. And Adam called his wife Eve, and they had no son till the first Jubilee. And after this he had intercourse with her, and he tilled the land, and he had been taught in the Garden of Eden. As he tilled the land as he's been taught in the Garden of Eden. And And in the 3rd week of the 2nd Jubilee, she gave birth to Cain, and the 4th she gave birth to Abel, and in the 5th gave birth to it. And in the 5th Jubilee, okay, hold on, I lost my place here. And she gave birth to Abel, and in the 5th she gave birth to her daughter, A1. And that's something that was skipped out of your traditional book of Genesis, which in some cases it's a lot of people consider it a big sin to actually read this book. Yeah, so they did have a daughter, A1, right after Abel, and in the 5th she gave birth to her daughter, A1. And in the 1st week of the 3rd Jubilee, Cain killed Abel because God had accepted Abel's sacrifice but not accepted his. And he killed him out in the open, and his blood cried from the ground to heaven, accusing him of murder. And the Lord reproved Cain for Abel's murder and made him a fugitive on the earth because of his brother's blood. And he cursed him on the earth. And this is why it is written on the heavenly tablets, Cursed is the man who strikes another man in secret, and let all who has seen it and heard it say amen. And the man who has seen it and has not disclosed it, let him be as accused as the other. And this is why when we come before the Lord our God, we report all our sin that is committed in heaven and on earth and in the light and the darkness everywhere. And Adam and his wife mourned for Abel 4 weeks of years, and in the 4th year of the 5th week, their zest for life returned, and Adam had intercourse with his wife once more, and she bore him a son called Seth. And for he said, God has given us another son on earth instead of Abel, because Cain killed him. And in the 6th week, he begot his daughter Azurah. And Cain took his sister A1 as his wife, and she bore him Enoch. And another thing too, just like in your traditional King James Bible, yes, this Enoch is not the Enoch that we consider the good one, but yet he was born before Enoch. The good Enoch, actually, which we read about that wrote all the books, is the 7th from Ad, the son of Jared, the 7th from Adam, just so you know. Because I know I got an argument online. Somebody tried to laugh at me, and even out there in the world. So what are you talking about, smirking? Enoch is the son of Cain. And I was like, no, dumbass. Yeah, Cain had a son named Enoch, it was his son. But later on, you got the good Enoch, which was son of Jared, not son of Cain, which we will read about here later, real soon. I figured I'd elaborate on it. And yes, 7th from Adam, son of Jared, 7th from Adam, which he wrote all the books of Enoch, which we will know later, just so you know. I figured I'd take a little break there and remind that to some people in case they're listening. But okay, now I made myself lose my place again. Okay, and Cain took his sister A1 as a wife, and bore him Enoch at the close of the 4th Jubilee. And in the 1st year of the 1st week of the 5th Jubilee, houses were built on earth, and Cain built a city named after it, after his son Enoch. And Adam had intercourse with his wife Eve, and she bore him 9 more children. And in the 5th week of the 5th Jubilee, Seth took his sister Azurah as his wife. And in the 4th year of the 6th, she bore him Enos. He was the first on earth to invoke the Lord by name. And in the 7th Jubilee, Enos was the first to invoke the Lord by name. You guys I'll have to look that up if statement was in the traditional King James Bible or not. Yeah, I know Enos is there, but I don't know if it says that he specifically invoked the Lord by name, the first to invoke the Lord by name or not, but I'd have to take a look. And in the 7th Jubilee and the 3rd week, Enos took his sister Noam as his wife, and she bore him a son on the 3rd year of the 5th week, and he called him Kenan. It's Kena. And at the close of the 8th Jubilee, Canaan took his sister Mahalalel, Malala, how the heck do you pronounce that, as his wife, and she bore him a son in the 9th Jubilee, in the 1st week in the 3rd year of that week, and called him Mahalalel. That's a mouthful to try to pronounce. And in the 2nd week of the 10th Jubilee, Mahalalel took his wife Dinah, the daughter of Barachiel, his father's brother's daughter, and she bore him a son in the 3rd week in the 6th year, and called him Jared. Okay, and here we go. There's Jared, which I was just playing. And in his days, the angels of the Lord, those who were called the Watchers, came down to the earth to teach men to do what is just and right on the earth. Okay, so the book of, here's another thing I take a break and tell you too. This says that in Jared's time, the Watchers came down to talk what was good and right. But later on, the book of Enoch, which later in this book, you will talk about the Watchers that started teaching men bad things too. So this might be the beginning of the struggle between good and evil, and then Noah and the ark. Then later on in the book of Enoch too, it met very interesting. Enoch knew Noah as a baby and taught Noah everything he needed to do before the ark and all that. But that'll come later, I don't want to go on too much about that. And I'm 22 minutes into this video anyway, so I'm going to finish maybe this chapter here. But okay. See this again. She bore him a 3rd, called him Jared, and in his days the angels of the Lord, who were called the Watchers, came down to the earth to teach men to do what is just and right on earth. So that's what the Watchers originally were supposed to do at that time, before the bad ones came down and taught all the evil, which we'll know later. And in the 11th Jubilee, Jared took a wife in the 4th week of this Jubilee, and her name was Barakah. How do you pronounce it? The daughter of Razuel, the daughter of his father's brother, and she bore him a son in the 5th week in the 4th year of that Jubilee, and he called him Enoch, and he was the first among men born on earth to learn and write and to acquire knowledge and wisdom. And he wrote down in a book details about the signs of heaven according to the order of their months, so that men might know the seasons of the years according to the order of their months. Which, by the way, there's a chapter in the book of Enoch, which I'm going to show you later, that the entire chapter is where Enoch said in detail the 365-day calendar that he made, like the days, and he lived to be 365 years. But Enoch even said, that particular chapter in the book of Enoch talks about that whole thing. He even said everything up to when you had longer daylight, shorter nights, and nights. Then you had the equinox, and how it's, even now it gets dark when it starts to get, in the colder months, it starts getting dark early again. And then the summer, like right now, the times I'm making this video, it stays light a little longer. But then everything in detail, he's a whole chapter about it, which is pretty cool. So, all right, let's get back to it here. Then I almost lost my place again. And according to the months, so that men might know seasons of the year according to the order of months. And he was the first to write a testimony, and he warned the sons of men about what would happen in the future generations on the earth, and recounted the weeks of the Jubilees, and made known the days of the years and the order of the months, and recounted the Sabbaths of the years, just as we made them known to him. And what was and what will be, he saw a vision in his sleep, just as it will happen to the sons of men in every generation till the day of judgment. He saw and knew all of it, and he wrote in his testimony and left it, and the testimony of earth for the sons of men for every generation. And in the 12th Jubilee, the 7th week of it, he took a wife, and her name was Ednai, the daughter of Danan, his father's brother's daughter. And in the 6th year of that week, she bore him a son and called him Methuselah. And he was with the angels of God these 6 jubilees of years, and they showed him everything on earth and in the heavens, and the power of the sun. And he wrote down everything, and he bore witness to the watchers who had sinned with the daughters of men. For these had begun to form unions with the daughters of men, that was to defile themselves, and Enoch bore witness against them all. And he was taken away from the sons of men, and we conducted him into the Garden of Eden in majesty and honor. And there he records the condemnation and the judgment of the world, and all the wickedness of the sons of men. And because of him, the water of the flood did not reach the land of Eden, for he was established there as a sign to bear witness against the sons of men, and keep record of all the deeds in every generation till the day of judgment. Oh yeah, in the book of Enoch, he also saw the keepers of the gates of hell, which were really scary. And he said, may me or none of my kinfolk, may I never catch sight of what you do here, and may me or none of my kinfolk ever come to you. Yeah. But that's in that book of Enoch later, which I'll try to get to eventually. But and he burned incense of the sanctuary, which is acceptable before the Lord on the mount. For the Lord has 4 holy places. For the Lord has 4 holy places on earth: the Garden of Eden, the Mount of the East, the Mount on which you are today, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion, which is the new creation, will be set apart for the hallowing of the earth. Through it, the earth will be purified from all its guilt and uncleanness in each successive generation. And in the 14th Jubilee, Methuselah took a wife, Edna, the daughter of Azariel, his father's brother's daughter. In the 3rd week, in the 1st year of this week, he begot a son and called him Lamech. And in the 15th Jubilee, the 3rd week, Lamech took a wife, and her name was Bettinus, the daughter of Barachel, his father's brother's daughter. In the week she bore him a son, called him Noah. Oh, in the book of Enoch, Lamech was scared to death because Noah was really bright, showing like the sun, and started speaking and praising God. And Lamech said he must have been sprung from the son of angels, scared to death. And Enoch says, "Don't worry, this is definitely your son, and he's here for a purpose, and all that. He's going to build the ark, and there's going to be a big flood, and all that jazz," in the book of Enoch later. Okay, so yeah. Okay, anyway, in this week she bore him a son, called him Noah, saying, the one who will comfort me for my trouble and all my work for the ground which the Lord has cursed. And at the close of the 19th Jubilee, in the 7th week, in the 6th year of it, Adam died, and all his children buried him in the land of creation. And he was the first on earth to be buried, and he was 70 years short of 1,000. For in the testimony of the heavens 1,000 years are 1 day. Let's read that again. For in the testimony of the heavens 1,000 years are as 1 day. So that's what a lot of Christians believe. 1 day in creation. It wasn't a real day. It was 1,000 years. A lot of people believe that. I was actually a Mormon for a short time, and they believed that specifically, and preached that a day in God's time was 1,000 years. Indeed, 1,000 years. So anyway, yeah, to go on here. Okay. And this explains why it is written about the tree of knowledge. On the day you eat from it, you will die. So in other words, you will have a limited lifespan. So he did not complete the years of his day, but died during it. After him, at the close of this Jubilee, Cain was killed in the same year. His house fell on him, and he cried, and he died inside it and was killed by the stones of it. For it was with a stone he killed Abel, and by a just retribution he was killed by a stone himself. And I think that's kind of cool. Let's read that again, because it's kind of, I always wondered, even before I ever discovered this in the King James Bible, one of my guesses, I mean, what did Cain kill Abel with? Did he beat him with a stick? Did he kill him with his bare hands? Beat him up, slam him to the ground and, break his neck? One of my guesses was it was a stone. That was one of my first guesses, even when I was younger. Okay, so let's read that again. After him, at the close of this Jubilee, Cain was killed in the same year. His house fell on him, and he died inside it, and he was killed by the stones of it. For it was with a stone he had killed Abel, and by a just retribution he was killed by a stone himself. There is a rule about this on the heavenly tablets. With the instrument which one man kills another man, the same instrument he shall be killed. If he has done a particular injury to another man, the same injury shall be done to him. So that was quite interesting. So they did, you kill one guy a certain way, and then your punishment is to die the same way. And in the 25th Jubilee, Noah took a wife, and her name was Emzara. And the King James Bible did not say the name of Noah's wife. I don't think so. The daughter of Rachel, his father's brother's daughter, in the first year of the 5th week, and in the 3rd year of it she bore him Shem, and in the 5th year of it she bore him Ham, and in the 1st year of the 6th week she bore him Japheth. And I think I'm just going to end that right here. This is going to be, this next is going to, chapter here is going to be later on. You're getting into how mankind is getting corrupted and all that stuff. And the book of Enoch is actually going to, Enoch is going to start talking about, it's going to be, Enoch is going to be mentioned here quite a bit. But, so I'm going to save this next chapter for the next video, because this is already a 33-minute long video, and this whole chapter is going to take, this is going to be about all the stuff that was going on, that Noah is going to build the ark and all that. And then, they're going to talk about it, like Enoch and all that other fun stuff. So I'm just going to mark the page here and then end it here, and then I'm going to do another video after, so stay tuned for it. So that's all for now. See you next time.